I found texts on my girlfriend's phone that I wasn't supposed to see, and now I don't know what's real anymore. I've been sitting on this for about 4 days, and I genuinely cannot sleep. I'm just going to type it all out because my brain keeps going in circles, and maybe someone out there has been through something like this. I'm a 23-year-old guy, and I've been with my girlfriend Maya for almost 2 years. We moved in together 6 months ago into this small apartment that I honestly love. It finally felt like we were building something real. She's 22, works at a marketing agency downtown, and up until 4 days ago, I would have told anyone who asked that she was the most honest person I'd ever been with. My last relationship was a disaster. My ex cheated on me for about 8 months before I found out, so trust has always been something I've been pretty deliberate about building. Maya knew that. We had actual conversations about it early on. Sitting on the floor of her old apartment eating takeout, where I told her my whole history, and she held my hand and said, "I would never do that to you." That's not something I'm capable of. 4 days ago, Tuesday night, we'd been watching TV and Maya fell asleep on the couch around 10. Her phone was on the coffee table and it buzzed twice. Normally, I wouldn't have glanced at it, but the screen lit up and I caught the preview text and my stomach dropped. It said, "Last night was exactly what I needed. You have no idea." From someone saved as Jess W. Maya has a coworker named Jess, but something about that message didn't sit right. It wasn't giving off a ha-ha fun girls night kind of energy. The timestamp was 10:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. I did not go through her phone. I put it face down and sat there for probably 40 minutes, staring at the TV while Maya slept and some show I wasn't watching played in the background. I kept telling myself it could mean anything. Last night could have been a work thing. I was catastrophizing because of my history, but then I couldn't stop thinking about Monday night. Monday night, Maya had told me she was going to happy hour with some work people and would probably be home late. She got back around midnight, a little late for a work happy hour, but she'd done similar things before and I didn't make it weird. She seemed completely normal when she came in, kissed me, said she was tired, went to bed. Tuesday night was the very next night, so last night would have been Monday. I didn't sleep Tuesday, not at all. I lay next to her and stared at the ceiling. Wednesday morning, she got up and made coffee and was completely normal Maya, humming in the kitchen, asking me what I wanted for breakfast, sending me a meme while I was in the shower, and I just went along with it. I went to work. I answered her texts during the day, like everything was fine. I think I just wasn't ready to blow up my life on the basis of one text preview I wasn't supposed to see. Wednesday night, I did something I'm not proud of. She was in the bathroom and her phone was on the charger. She doesn't have a passcode. She's always said it's because she has nothing to hide. So it just opened. I went to the messages with Jess W. I'm not going to type out everything because honestly, some of it I'm still trying to process. But here's what I can say. This was not a work friendship. The messages went back about 3 months. They were affectionate in a way I can't explain away. There was one from about 6 weeks ago where Maya said, "I keep thinking about you when I'm supposed to be paying attention to other things." And Jess replied, "Same. This is getting complicated." There were messages about meeting up, phrased in a way that made it obvious this wasn't something either of them would be telling other people about. There was also a message from Maya to Jess sent at 11:47 p.m. on Monday, so after she'd come home, kissed me, and gone to bed, that said, "I hate that I can't just call you right now." I put the phone back exactly where it was. I went into the bathroom and ran the water and just stood there. She knocked after a few minutes. "Hey, you okay in there?" I said, "Yeah, just tired." She said, "Okay, I made tea if you want some." We watched TV again. She fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I sat there with my arm around her and thought about the fact that I have 3 more months left on our lease. Thursday, I told my best friend Danny. I showed up at his place after work and word vomited the whole thing. He was quiet for a second, then said, "Okay, so what do you actually know for sure?" I said, "I know the texts are real." He said, "But do you know what actually happened, physically?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm not saying it's fine. I'm saying you need to know what you're actually dealing with before you do anything. There's one other thing I haven't mentioned yet. Jess W. has a profile photo. It's a woman, which was something I was not expecting, and I don't fully know what to do with that layer of it. Maya has never identified as anything other than straight in 2 years together, never mentioned being bi or questioning or anything. Danny said, "Maybe she's been figuring something out and didn't know how to tell you." I said, that still doesn't explain why she's sneaking around.
He said, "No, you're right. It doesn't. I went home Thursday night and Maya had made dinner. Pasta, the kind I like.
She'd lit a candle on the table. She was happy, talking about her day, asking about mine. I sat across from her and ate and talked and laughed at something she said, and I felt like I was watching myself from outside my own body. After dinner, she said, I'm really glad we moved in together. You know that? She looked at me with this completely open face. I said, yeah, me too. It's now Friday night. She's asleep. I'm in the kitchen with my laptop and a beer that's gone warm, and I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I keep coming back to one specific message from Maya to Jess, sent about 5 weeks ago. I don't know who I am right now, and I think that's your fault. I've replayed that line about 50 times. I don't know if it means what I think it means. I don't know if she's in love with this person or if this is something else entirely. I don't know if she even knows. What I do know is that she has a work thing tomorrow afternoon, and I'm pretty sure it's not a work thing. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do about that. Update 1. Saturday happened. I need to write this out before I do anything else. She left around 1 p.m., said it was a team thing at a rooftop bar downtown for a coworker's birthday, gave me a kiss, said she'd probably be back by 6 or 7, asked if I wanted her to pick up anything on the way home. I said no thanks. I watched her walk out the door, then stood at the window and watched her get into an Uber. I texted Danny, and he came over within 20 minutes. He brought beer. We sat on the couch, and I said, she just left. He said, okay, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. Nothing. I don't know. He said, you could just ask her when she gets home. I said, and then what? She lies to my face? He said, maybe, or maybe she doesn't. Around 4 p.m., my phone buzzed. Maya. A photo. A selfie of her and 3 people I didn't recognize on a rooftop, drinks in hand, squinting into the sun. She'd captioned it, missing you, this is so loud, LOL. I showed Danny and he said, okay, so she's either actually at a work thing or she's covering her bases really carefully. I said, can you tell if Jess is in that photo? I'd never actually seen a photo of Jess clearly. I went to Maya's Instagram and looked for anyone she'd tagged at work events over the last few months. Found one photo from about 2 months ago at a work happy hour. Maya had tagged 4 people. One was Jess W_22. I clicked on the profile, private, but the photo matched the profile picture in the texts. Dark hair. One of the 3 people in Maya's rooftop photo had dark hair. I don't know if it was the same person. The photo was taken at a weird angle. Everyone was laughing. The sun was cutting right across it. Danny said, you're going to drive yourself insane. I said, I know. He stayed until around 5:30. He hugged me on the way out and said, whatever you decide to do tonight, don't do it angry. Wait until you're calm. Maya got home at 7:15. She was in a good mood, showed me more photos on her phone. She literally just handed it to me to scroll through. Pictures of the rooftop, drinks, group shots. I scrolled through and handed it back. Looks fun. She said, it was really nice. I needed that. Is handing over your phone the behavior of someone hiding something? Or is that just Maya being Maya because she doesn't think I suspect anything? I don't know how to read anything anymore. At dinner, I said, kind of out of nowhere, hey, is Jess someone you hang out with a lot outside of work? Maya stopped for about half a second. Then, Jess? Yeah, we've gotten pretty close lately. Why? I said, I don't know. You mention her sometimes. Just curious. She said, she's really cool. I think you'd like her. And went back to talking about something else. Half a second. I've been thinking about that pause ever since. I didn't push it. I don't know why. Maybe because I still don't know what I want to happen when this conversation finally has to happen for real. I can't see the version of this where I come out okay. She fell asleep before me again. I'm back in the kitchen. I think I have to say something. I just don't know what. Update 2. I didn't say anything. Or Monday, though. New information I'm still sitting with. I was working from home. Maya went into the office. Normal morning. Around 11 a.m., I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Are you Maya's boyfriend? I stared at it for 2 full minutes. I typed back, "Who is this?" Jess. My heart was going so fast I had to put my phone down, walk to the other side of the apartment and back, then pick it up again. "How did you get my number?" "Maya has you as her lock screen contact. I looked you up. I know this is weird. I'm sorry." I didn't respond for about 10 minutes. Then, "What do you want?" "I think we should talk. Not over text. I'm not trying to blow up your life. I just think there are things you probably deserve to know, and I'm not okay with how this is going anymore." "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" She took a while. Then, "Probably yes." "Did something physical happen between you and Maya?" Another pause. Then, "Yes, I'm sorry. I wanted her to tell you herself, but she keeps saying she will, and she hasn't, and I can't keep doing this." I sat down on the kitchen floor with my back against the cabinet. I already knew. I'd known since Wednesday. But there's a thing that happens when someone confirms it. It becomes a different kind of real. It hits completely differently than suspecting it. How long? Since February. It wasn't supposed to be anything. I don't really know how to explain it. February. Almost 4 months ago. We'd only been living together for 2 months by then. I didn't respond after that. I just sat on the floor. Jess texted again about an hour later. "I'm sorry. I know this is awful. I just couldn't keep pretending you didn't exist." I haven't responded to that one. Maya texted around noon asking what I wanted for dinner. I said I didn't care. She sent a little poll between two options. I picked one. We had a completely normal 5-minute text conversation, and I was answering her from the kitchen floor. I need to talk to Maya. I know that. I know it has to happen tonight or tomorrow, but I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to start a conversation that is going to end the life I've been living for the last 2 years, and I don't know how you just begin that. What are the first words? Where do you even sit? Danny called tonight and I told him about the Jess text. He was quiet for a long time. Then, "Okay, so now you know." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want me to come over?" I said, "No. I think I need to be alone tonight." He said, "Call me after. Whenever it is, call me." Maya's been home for 2 hours. She made the dinner she texted me about. We ate. She's watching TV in the other room right now, and I can hear it from here. I'm going to go in there in a few minutes. I don't know what happens after that. Update 3. I talked to her. I've been trying to write this for 2 days and keep stopping because I don't know how to describe what it felt like to watch someone's face do what Maya's face did. But I'm going to try. I went into the living room and sat down on the other end of the couch. She muted the TV and looked at me, and I think she could tell from whatever my face was doing that this was different. She said, "Hey, you okay?" I said, "I need to talk to you about something." She said, "Okay," and turned toward me, and she looked open, present, the way she always looks when she's paying attention. And I thought, this is the last few seconds of whatever this has been. And then I just said it. "I know about Jess." The silence was about 3 seconds. Then her whole face changed, not into guilt exactly, into something more like exhaustion, like a weight she'd been holding for a long time had just shifted. She said, "How long have you known?" I told her about the text preview, the phone, all of it. She didn't get defensive about the phone. She just listened. When I got to the part about Jess texting me directly, she closed her eyes for a second. She said, "I was going to tell you." I said, "When?" She didn't answer that. I asked her to tell me what had actually happened, and she did. Not in a rush, not making excuses, just the actual thing. It started in February at a work event where they'd both drunk too much, and then it kept going because she didn't stop it. She said she'd been trying to understand something about herself that she hadn't let herself think about before, and that Jess had become the person she was doing that with. She said she knew it was wrong. She said she'd been trying to figure out how to tell me and kept finding reasons why right now wasn't the time. I said, "Did you love me while this was happening?" She said, "Yes." I know that doesn't make sense. I said, "It doesn't." She started crying. I didn't. I'd been crying, in a quiet way, for most of the last week, just sitting with it alone in the kitchen at night. By the time we were actually having the conversation, I think I'd already used up whatever I had. I asked her where she was at now, like, what did she want? If she could have anything. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said she didn't know. She said she thought she might be bisexual and had been scared to say that out loud, even to herself, and that Jess had been the first person she'd felt that about, and she didn't know what any of it meant for her or for us. I said, I need you to understand that none of that changes what you did. You could have told me you were questioning. I would have listened. Instead, you hid it, and you lied by omission for 4 months, and you let me sit across from you at dinner thinking everything was fine. She said, I know, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We talked for a long time, not yelling, just talking. At some point, she said, I don't want to lose you. And I said, I know. And I meant it. I believed she meant it. But believing someone doesn't want to lose you and being able to stay aren't the same thing. I slept on the couch that night. In the morning, I called Danny and talked for about an hour. He mostly just listened. It's been 2 days since that conversation. Maya and I have talked a little more. Not about what comes next, just sort of existing in the same space carefully. She's been giving me room. I've been trying to figure out what I actually want, which turns out to be very hard to know when everything still hurts.
I don't think I'm going to be able to stay. I've been going back and forth on it, running different versions through my head, and I keep coming back to the same thing. I don't know how to trust her again. Not because of the Jess part specifically. I genuinely believe her when she says she was scared and confused about something real. But she made a choice, over and over, for 4 months, to keep me in the dark, to let me think we were fine, to come home and kiss me and make pasta and light a candle and say she was glad we'd moved in together. That's a lot of choices. I've been looking at one-bedroom apartments. The lease situation is complicated, but there are ways to handle it. Danny asked me the other day how I was actually doing. Not logistics, actually doing. I said I didn't know yet. I said it felt like that thing where you break a bone and it's still numb from the shock, and you know the pain is coming, but you're in this weird window before it fully arrives. He said, yeah, that tracks. I don't really know how this ends. I know that in a few weeks, I'll probably be somewhere new, starting over in some form I can't quite picture yet. I know that I don't hate Maya. I don't think I'm capable of that. And I know that whatever she's going through about her identity is real, and I hope she figures it out. I also know that those two things can both be true while I still need to not be here anymore. That's about where I am. I'm going to be okay. I think I already know that somewhere, but I'm in the window before the pain arrives, and for now, I'm just trying to stay inside it a little longer. Thanks for reading, whoever you are.